Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 9 of the anime series DanMachi. And this was another kick-ass episode to follow on from last week's just awe-inspiring and badass as all hell episode that saw Belle taking out that Minotaur and leveling up exponentially in less than a quarter of the time it took Eyes, the Sword Princess, to reach another level, level 2 in fact. Belle has done that. He is level 2, and even Aina, at the beginning of this episode, is just dumbstruck. She's thunderstruck by this revelation, as well as the fact we find out through Hestia's doing that, magic culmination, finding out his stats framework, that he's actually unlocked another ability. Not only does he have this fire casting ability now, he's got the Argonaut ability, and it is frickin' awesome. One hit kills, baby. One hit kills is all I'm saying. I loved in this episode the debut of Welf Klotso, who is this, sort of Iron Mason blacksmith with an intriguing history. His family is kind of like the black sheep, no pun intended, in his blacksmith family, in that they are well known for having created items and armor that are magic-based. And for some reason, the well sort of dried up. And while he is capable of doing so, he doesn't have any sort of love for creating magic items and abilities, or rather items to enhance abilities. And I find that intriguing. He's very much an honorable sort of blacksmith that very much, in my looking over Japanese history and the history of the samurai, reminds me very much, in the heart and soul he puts into his weaponry and how he considers them to be an extension of the person who wields it rather than just a perfunctory item. He's very much like Masamune, the swordsmith in Japanese samurai history, one of the first and most renowned creators of like the katana blade, that kind of situation. And this guy, he very much seems like an honorable guy to stick to his principles, even though, Hestia is kind of fearful of his history, and she's been asking around about the magic ability, and you have Lily Ruka, who's obviously not getting along with him too well, and not very trusting of him and everything like that. Belle being a sucker for just wanting to trust everybody. He's very much positive and about accepting people on their own terms, and you got this guy, Welf, who's like, I don't want to be known by my name. Don't call me Kurosa-san. Call me Welf-san, that kind of thing. I don't want it to just be about this family lineage. I want to make my own mark in the world, and I don't want to do it with this most, recognized aspect of my family's history, what we do best and everything like that. I want to do it on my own terms, and Belle is very accepting of that. And I love this character. I love his integration into this already sort of growing cast of characters. It was very, easily fitted, and it felt very welcoming, and I'm welcoming him because I just like his personality. He seems like an awesome guy and an awesome character. And this all, of course, revolves around the idea that Belle is so exponentially upping his levels because probably whatever Freya's manipulations are, and he's becoming well known to both a positive and a negative light. You have people who are sort of looking at him scathingly, like, oh, he must think he's, hot crap, You have other people who are kind of in a mocking fashion, like, well, why don't you sidle up with us? I mean, they're in that eatery, Mamma Mia's, little sort of tavern, if you will. And of course you have Seer and Ryu being just an uber badass. She doesn't even have to do much. She's an uber badass. But she sits down, they all sit down, they're celebrating, Belle's sort of basically all the accomplishments he's made, and they're like, spend a lot of money. Mamma Mia's sitting back behind the bar like, yeah, spend a lot of money, And you have these guys come over, and they're like accosting them, like, well, you know what? You can be part of our party, but we want a taste of your babes, And this is where Ryu, once again, shows how badass she is. She's very monosyllabic, but she will cut a bitch. She sends these guys packing. Loved that sequence. She's like kind of one of the most underridden but most standout characters in this series. But then, of course, everything sort of comes full circle, too, with the whole idea of Loki Familia being in the dungeon and going on this quest, this mission that they're doing. They met up with another party. You have Eyes kind of overseeing as characters like Bet, the guy whose name constantly escapes me, but who was the guy going all the way back to the early portion of the series who was making fun of Belle for having to have been saved by Eyes, the Sword Princess. And, you know, this guy is just going nuts. And when they hear that the reason for this, or when Eyes hears the reason for this, is they ran into Belle on the way down, or the way up into this dungeon, you know, multi-levels and such, going further than they've ever gone before, you have Eyes very much becoming prideful and, like, challenging herself. She jumps right into the fray, just like Bet and all the other characters, because she's, you know, arguably maybe she has a chip on her shoulder, maybe she doesn't want to be outshone, because of whatever drive she is driving toward, you know, whatever her end result is. We found out in, you know, the previous episode, basically sharing dialogue between her and Belle, that they're kind of the same, that they have reasons for what they're doing, for trying to power up as high as they can. For Belle, it's Eyes. For Eyes, not sure who it is as of yet. You know, it's going to be interesting to find out eventually, but I like how everything came together in this episode. It was very much a rewarding episode when you see especially that Argonaut ability. I mean, they're in the dungeon, you have Lily Ruka not very much getting, you know, along with Welf, and Welf is kind of trying to prove himself. He's excited to be where they are. And this baby dragon, these other guys come in and, like, you know, provoke this baby dragon. Belle has already used his fire casting ability, and without even realizing it, it almost looks like nanomachines flowing around his hand. And Welf is like, what the hell is that? And even Belle doesn't know. And when this baby dragon shows up on the scene, you know, chasing off Lily Ruka within an inch of her life, he casts, without even, you know, intending to. He thinks he's going to do the fire casting. He casts this Argonaut ability, one hit kill. That entire dragon, boom, poof, up, you know, in smoke, basically. And it's the horn that he got from the Minotaur in the previous episode that basically Welf uses to create a new sort of dagger weapon for him. And I just really loved how everything tied together. This was a very satisfying, you know, maybe not as gripping and like everything was at stake like the previous episode, but it was a refreshing, you know, episode for that reason, with everything still culminating and still being about that accomplishment, but nothing was necessarily at stake. I really felt it was a refreshing, awesome, badass episode. And I can give it no higher praise. It, you know, sort of satisfied my every want for you know, potential follow-up episode that I could even conceive for myself in the aftermath of the previous. I just thought it kicked ass in so many levels. And the fact, you know, I almost forgot, you got Hestia going on this, like, you know, every couple of months or whatever it is, every month meeting, where she's going to try to shoot for getting Belle a title. And he's thinking, you know, Fiery Blade Master and all these grand design titles. He ends up with Little Rookie. Now, I think they're underscoring just how plain the particular, you know, title is. He's going to Lily Rookie. He's like, isn't that just sort of average? I mean, you know, they're calling him Little Rookie, though. They're like, you're starter position, kid. No matter how much he's accomplished, you're at the way bottom. You know, that's what that name represents. But it's ironic, because look at the prowess he wields. Even if it isn't necessarily all up to his own devices, he is earning this every step of the way. Don't let me underscore, you know, his own abilities, but quite frankly, you still got Freya's manipulations in the works, whatever they are meant to amount to. And I can't wait to see what that point yields, basically, as we approach it, and as it is revealed to us. So otherwise, that's pretty much all I have to say on this episode. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below who watched episode 9 of DanMachi, if you've seen it, and, you know, what you thought of the badassery and the awesome sort of debut of Welf and, you know, all of the interesting aspects that we have furthering on and progressing this story of Belle just seeking to attain and achieving, whether by his own hands or with a little help, malevolently so or positively so, you know, everything that went on. Again, I thought it was pitch perfect, loved it. And so, yeah, let me know in the comments below. And otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.